Hello and welcome again to another session of One in the Spirit. I'm Dave Clemis, and today we have a very interesting discussion that we'll have with my good friend Heather McGrath. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. There's many things that we could talk about you and what you are doing. We were just talking about lay worship leader and some of the other things that you're involved in, but really we're going to talk today about this wonderful workshop that you're putting together called the Caregivers Workshop.
Right.
So, can you tell me a little bit about what this workshop is and what was the idea behind it? Where did you get the idea behind doing this?
Well, it's an opportunity for people to get together and share strategies and frustrations and anger and laughter and food and just develop a community of people who are really struggling with caregiving. So I think the idea probably started about 13 years ago, well, 15 years ago now, and I was undergoing chemotherapy, and I was asked to talk at Algonquin to a caregiver's course, not a caregiver's course, professional healthcare workers,
Right.
about what it's like to be a nurse on the other side.
Oh, yes.
And I said, I'll come, but only if my husband can come, because I think being a caregiver is often harder than being a patient. So we didn't talk about what we were going to say. And my husband stood up and he said, when she told me she had cancer, my first reaction was, how dare she when we are looking at retirement? And his second response was, if she dies, her problems are over, but mine just start. What am I going to do?
Oh, boy.
And then he talked about the fear and helplessness that he experienced watching a red chemotherapy drug drip into his wife's veins. Now, some of the participants in the workshop were angry with him for expressing those feelings. And I must admit, I was a bit taken aback, although intellectually I knew he was being honest, and those are very, very common feelings. So as I shared what he had said with clients at work, the overwhelming reaction was tears. That people felt, caregivers felt, wow, somebody understands. And all that anger and frustration that I'm feeling, I guess other people feel too. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking it's really important for caregivers to know that, to develop a community where they can share in a safe place the anger and sometimes I think feelings of hate that at the person who's causing them to be in this role.
So it's really something where a person who is in that experience, like your husband was, feeling alone and not,
Absolutely.
not knowing if there was any kind of support, as you said, he was feeling that his problems would be even worse if you were to pass on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is something that I see is really needed because as our population, our aging population increases, we're going to see more people who are going to be involved in providing care to their partner or to
That's
a
right.
family member.
That's right. And really for us it was a dry run. I'm still here, I think, so I didn't pass away.
Yes, you are.
He doesn't have to caregive, but short of a car accident or a plane dropping out of the air, it's going to happen to us. And so it was a dry run for us. And one of the exciting things about this workshop, for me personally, is that the caregivers who will come will be role models for me and will learn about their coping skills, which when my turn comes, hopefully I'll be able to use.
Now, of course, you're going to bring Sean in so he can give his famous
I might actually. I hadn't thought of that.
So, caregiving, we know there's different levels of caregiving. There's those people who have been experiencing caregiving on almost like on a 24/7 basis and haven't had time to, look after or themselves, or health-wise as well as emotional and social-wise.
Right.
And then there are people who are just starting to get into this, who are facing a journey they have no idea about. And then I guess there's some of us too that are starting, thinking ahead on this. So in terms of what you're putting together, Heather, who are the people that you would like to see there?
My feeling is, I originally had set it up because some friends of mine, I know you see, I probably shouldn't say that, were expressing a lot of anger and frustration because their spouses had been diagnosed with diabetes, which we don't think of as life-threatening, although
Yes.
it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And the spouses with diabetes were not doing what they were supposed to, right? So there was a lot of anger and frustration. And I thought, if we don't do some education around, A, your feelings are normal, so get rid of the guilt. And secondly, the really difficult process of changing behavior that the spouses with diabetes are going through. If we don't do some education around that, we're going to have a homicide.
Yeah.
Now I exaggerate, but so that originally was the group that I was thinking of. But then when I approached Care and Support about this, of course they're dealing with caregivers who really don't have the energy to brush their teeth and get dressed in the morning.
Yes,
they are
that's right.
so exhausted.
Yeah.
So my feeling is that you have to listen to the inner voice. And if the Spirit is calling you to attend this workshop, you should come.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe even force the voice that you're listening to get you here.
Maybe, yes.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
So when are you going to be running this workshop, Heather?
We're starting, I think it's the 4th of April, so it will run for 8 weeks, April and May, Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 3:30.
Okay. So,
And the timing is tight. It will be 1 to 3:30 because we realize that caregivers need to get back and we're
Right,
not going to run over time.
Right. And will the participants have to go to every one of the sessions, or can they come at one and maybe not be there for another, or how do you see that?
Well, I'm not taking attendance, so people can drop in when they want to. Our hope is that people will attend every session because one of the objectives is to create a community of support where people have friends and they can phone up afterwards and say, you know what, I'm having a really bad day. That community doesn't happen without everybody attending most sessions. So
Yeah.
that's our hope. However, life interferes, and if people can make it to one session, that's fine too.
So one of the objectives at the end of this would be maybe to see a group forming around themselves so they don't feel alone, that they have somebody that they could pick up the phone and talk to who
That's
has
right.
an understanding of what they're going through.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is your involvement in this? What are you doing?
Well, I designed the program, so I want to make it fun. If you're going to bring people out from a caregiving situation, it's got to be fun, right?
Sure.
So we're looking at food, we're looking at a joke of the day, and I'm open to that if you have any suggestions.
I'm sure we'll have some people out there who would just love to send you in some
Absolutely.
one-liners.
Well, I'm open. We're looking at a short 5-minute Bible discussion because we are a faith community.
Right.
And if you look at professionals who are working in palliative care or with people with long-term illnesses, there's very few atheists because you can't do the job unless you're depending on God. So I've developed or found, with help of the clergy, 8 short Bible references, and we'll just have a really short discussion about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Okay? Joke of the day, and then we're doing brain gym. Which do you
Great.
know that term?
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was not a term that I was familiar with, but it's just kind of physical exercises that helps your brain relax, gets blood flow to the brain, increases concentration, improves sleep, all the things that caregivers need.
Right.
Then we'll have a 20-minute guest speaker with questions, so there'll be lots of information.
So it's upbeat, it's a time to come and relax and refresh,
Absolutely.
get yourself into a new mindset, and be able to get back to what you have been doing with maybe some more skill, insight,
Hopefully. Yeah,
and knowing that you're not alone.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that sounds absolutely critical, doesn't it?
And I think knowing that the feelings that you're having are normal.
Yes.
And our worst judges are ourselves. And so I would like people to go back without feeling guilt. Without feeling guilt if they're saying, you know, I'm going to take 10 minutes and go and have a coffee, or lock myself in the bathroom, or or leave the caregiving to somebody else for a couple of hours.
Mhm.
Or I'm feeling so angry, I'm wondering if I ever should have married this person. And I want people to realize that those feelings are very normal, and there should be no guilt associated with them.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And we feel so strongly toward those people that we're trying to help, that we tend to feel guilty when something like that
Me
happens.
too, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this sounds like a wonderful program, and so I'm going to be posting your email address on the video.
Perfect.
So when people can contact you directly and find out more about it. And of course, she always tells people to call Kim at the office, because she's pretty good to get that stuff out as well. So
She's wonderful.
I would really encourage you to consider this opportunity, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
You're welcome,
This has been
and I
great.
hope we have a lot of people come out, it's
So
going to be
too.
good.
And we'll certainly be pushing this little
Wonderful.
performance here out there when as we go through the promotion for this event. So please consider this if you're considering that you have someone in your family or friend that needs some help and that you're going to be providing it. This is probably a very good place for you to come and find out more about it. And of course, no, you do not feel alone. So thanks again. This is
Thanks,
what
Dave.
a wonderful service you're offering to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So if you've enjoyed this program and would like to get more information, just look for the contact information or follow this video. And of course, if you have any suggestions for other shows and other people that we might want to talk to, please feel free to do so. So I'm Dave Clemens, and thank you very much for joining us on One on the Spirit.